And let's do it as we always do, rapid fire, one at a time, through 4 different awards. Let's begin with the Offensive Player of the Week. MDS, you are up.
I've got DeAndre Hopkins with the Hail Murray catch, which was outstanding. But, he was having a good game already. He ended up with 7 catches for 127 yards. And when you look at the connection that Hopkins and Kyler Murray have, I really wonder if we're going to look back on this trade as one of the best trades in NFL history from the perspective of the Cardinals, or as one of the worst trades in NFL history from the perspective of the Texans.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, MDS. I said that earlier. Herschel Walker's the only thing that comes close to that. I'm going to go to a different game.
You didn't have to mention it again. You really didn't have to mention it.
I did it for fun. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with Alex Smith, the greatest comeback story maybe in NFL history. It's hard to argue that after 17 surgeries to save his life and save his leg. And he probably would have gotten the award just getting back on the active roster. And he certainly would have gotten it just by showing up and taking a snap in a game. But he has done way more than that. Set career highs in attempts, completions, and yards this week. First time ever, I was surprised at this, that he has had back-to-back 300-yard games. He's been really good for Washington. And Ron Rivera said, hey, maybe we have our quarterback of the future we're going to see. I know he's older, but, God, he's playing great. And it's so fun to see Alex Smith doing what he's doing.
Yeah, it really is. And, look, I have to go with the guy who quickly is becoming my favorite player in the National Football League, Kyler Murray. For all the reasons we discussed earlier, Charean, the throw that won the game, the way he runs the football, the way he does everything, it is just so much fun to watch him. And I feel like I felt a couple of years ago when Patrick Mahomes was first exploding onto the scene where I couldn't get enough. I hope I don't get numb to Kyler Murray the way I've gotten numb to Patrick Mahomes. I have a feeling that we will, but I think here's the difference. We're not being fed a huge dose of Kyler Murray yet this year. There's not a lot of primetime games for the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe we'll see a lot of postseason action for the Cardinals. Maybe next year is the year that we start to get desensitized to what Kyler Murray does. Maybe there'll be somebody else who comes along who does it even better. I don't know. But I'm as excited about Kyler Murray this year as I was about Mahomes, probably more. He is so much fun to watch. And there really is this sense of we don't know which way it's ultimately going to go this season for them. Are they going to win the division? Are they going to be a 1 seed? Are they going to stumble and fall a couple of times and maybe not even make the playoffs? There's a lot of good teams in the NFC, and they've got them chasing at their heels. So whatever happens, it's just fun. Watching Kyler Murray play is fun. And I say there's probably never going to be another one like him, but I said that 2 years ago about Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I guess one of the reasons I'm so excited about football now, you've got this year after year, there's another guy who enters the league who just wows us, and I hope that continues year in and year out for as long as we're following the game. All right, let's get on to the Defensive Player of the Week, not the year, but of the week. He could be Defensive Player of the Year as well. MDS, you're up first.
Well, I'm going with Jalen Ramsey, and, I love trades like the DeAndre Hopkins trade when you can get a great player without giving up much. I'm usually a little more skeptical of these trades where you give up 2 first-round picks like the Rams did for Jalen Ramsey, and then, of course, you also have to give the guy a big contract that's going to go a long way on your salary cap. But these are the games you trade for a guy like Jalen Ramsey for. Big divisional game, you put him on the other team's best receiver, and he shut down DK Metcalf. And shutting down DK Metcalf goes a long way towards shutting down the Seahawks offense. The Rams won a big game with big playoff implications. I think Jalen Ramsey was the single biggest reason for that. And I think we saw exactly what the Rams were envisioning when they made that trade transpire on Sunday.
MDS, I'm going to stay on the same team. And because Jalen Ramsey locked down DK Metcalf like he did, Darius Williams saw a lot of action. And he had as many catches from Russell Wilson as DK Metcalf did. He had 2 interceptions and played just great. And I think they have a great pairing there with those two. And, oh, by the way, he had a pick 6 that was called back by an offsides. Now, maybe Russell Wilson doesn't take that throw knowing it was offsides. But nonetheless, Darius Williams also played great in that game. That Rams defense was terrific against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
You know, this is like a slot machine. We've got 3 boxes. Let's pretend we're pulling the arm, right? And so MDS's is spinning, and it stops on ugly-ass Rams logo. Charean stops on ugly-ass Rams logo. And mine stops on ugly-ass Rams logo. I don't know what you'll win, but this is the first time all year that we've got all 3 from the same team. I'm going to go with Leonard Floyd. He had 3 sacks. And if you're going to focus on keeping Aaron Donald from sacking your quarterback, hey, there's a chance somebody else on that defensive front is going to do it. Floyd, the guy they brought in to take advantage of the opportunities that are there when offenses, try to keep Aaron Donald in check. Floyd, I got to give him credit. He got the 3 sacks, part of the effort to neutralize the Seahawks offense. And you know, guys, something we talked about earlier today on PFT Live, and we were trying to diagnose the problems with the Seahawks. They really do have to get more creative about getting the ball in DK Metcalf's hands, especially for games like this. If he's going to be covered down the field, throw the quick screen, put him in motion, do a jet sweep, do something to get the Rams defense off its axis. Otherwise, you're going to have an outcome like the one that we saw where the Rams defense was just awesome at every level on Sunday against the Seahawks. All right, Rookie of the Week time, MDS, who do you have?
I have Justin Jefferson, who had 135 yards on Monday night against the Bears. He's currently leading the NFL with 18.1 yards per catch, is emerging as, I think, the best receiver in a good rookie class of receivers. And, you know, we've been talking about trades, and I'll talk about another one. The Vikings took a big gamble when they decided to trade Stephon Diggs to the Bills and then use the first-round pick they got for him on Justin Jefferson. And as well as Diggs is playing in Buffalo, I think the Vikings feel like it worked out well for them because they think Jefferson is playing just as well as Diggs. He's younger, he's cheaper, and they really hit a home run when they drafted Justin Jefferson. Now, if some other team had drafted Justin Jefferson ahead of them, we might look back at that trade differently, but it worked out very well for them because he is, I think, one of the best rookies in the league.
Yeah, and Javon Kinley, MDS, kind of came in the same way, trying to replace a guy who had been traded. And as the 14th overall pick, he hasn't been that good this year. But he had his first career sack, ended up with 1.5 sacks in the loss to the Saints, but played his best game so far. And the 49ers now are hopeful that maybe he can catch fire in the second half of the season and become what they really thought Javon Kinley was going to be when they used that high pick on him.
And he may get some help. Kyle Shanahan said today that they will put in a claim for pass rusher Takk McKinley, who failed his physical in Cincinnati. I don't know why they would telegraph that. Maybe they think there's no one else who claimed him before who would be ahead of them in the priority list, so they're safe in letting the world know they're going to put in that claim. One quick point on Jefferson. The Vikings did this before when they traded Randy Moss to the Raiders. They used the pick they got on Troy Williamson, if you guys remember him, and he was, all due respect, awful. And I think he had even more pressure on him because he's the guy replacing Randy Moss. Well, Jefferson, the guy replacing Stephon Diggs, and so far so good. He already has matched Moss with 4 100-yard receiving performances in his rookie season. My rookie this week, Tua Tagovailoa. Look, the numbers aren't spectacular, but they're winning, and he is quickly developing into the guy. He's playing well. He's playing within the confines of the offense. The Dolphins have won 5 in a row, and they are pushing toward the playoffs and maybe a division title. They benefited as much as the Cardinals from that Hail Murray throw because now the Dolphins right on the heels of the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. And it could be that for the first time since 2008, if the Patriots don't win the division, it looks like they won't, it will be the Dolphins who won it in 2008 and may get it again if they keep doing what they've been doing in 2020. Coach of the Week time, MDS, who do you have?
Well, I have a coach that we don't really talk about all that much in these awards, but he's a guy you may have heard of, Bill Belichick, who has had so much success that I sometimes think we just kind of overlook him and forget to talk about him when we're talking about a coach of the week or sometimes coach of the year. He probably should have won more coach of the year awards than he has. But I just thought he had a great game plan. His team was ready. They hit the Ravens right where they wanted to hit the Ravens. And I really thought that it was just a flawlessly constructed game plan to beat the Ravens in the best way the Patriots could. And, you know, the Patriots, they still have an uphill climb to the playoffs. I mean, if you look at the way the AFC shakes out, I couldn't say I think they're going to make it. It's still kind of a long shot, but if they find a way in, every team in the AFC is going to be saying, we don't want to play them. However the seeds play out, no one is going to want to have to play the Patriots and have a coach have to game plan against Bill Belichick in the playoffs.
MDS, your guy has lifetime security. The guy I picked, Mike Zimmer, we were just talking a couple weeks ago, wondering if he was going to be fired. If not after this season, then he was under fire going into next season, even after signing that contract extension. And here we are. He's pulling it off again. He's got the Vikings playing at a great level. And you start looking at their schedule, they've got a chance to go to the playoffs now.
I don't know about that because they still have a lot of ground to make up, but they could go into the Tampa Bay game in 3 weeks at 7-5, which would be incredible considering they started 1-5. My coach of the week is Mike Tomlin, and we're kind of taking the Steelers for granted. They're just winning every week. I thought the Bengals would beat them. I've picked against them twice this year, and in both games, it was their most impressive performances of the season in blowing out the Browns and then blowing out the Bengals. They just win week in and week out. Tomlin has them in the right mindset. And I think that the seeds for this performance were planted in how Tomlin handled it last year when they lost Ben Roethlisberger. No excuses. Keep fighting. Keep scratching. Keep clawing. They almost made it to the playoffs. But I think that mindset from last year is still there in every game. And they have Roethlisberger. So they're just winning and winning and winning. And if it was the Patriots at 9-0 with these 7 games remaining that the Steelers have, we'd be saying, hey, they got a chance to go 16-0. We need to be saying that about the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, thank you to MDS.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.